My name is Brian Lee, and I've been cosplaying ever since, I was like 16 years old, I think. It was the first time I put together my own homemade Obi-Wan Kenobi to go see Attack of the Clones when it came out, and I fell in love with cosplay then, and the following year I went to my first San Diego Comic-Con, and I've been cosplaying and attending conventions since, and it's through Comic-Cons the Marvel group shoots that the Avengers Initiative hosts that I learned about the club. I learned about the organization, that it was, not just an organization of cosplayers getting together, but also using it for a great cause, and supporting various service events and charities, and I'd heard about a number of different cosplay clubs that were doing that, but not one of Marvel, and that's where I got to meet Mark and some of my other fellow West Coast Avengers, who are very good close friends of mine now, and it's been an enriching experience since to be able to give back to our community through something that we already love doing. For anybody who hasn't dipped their toe into cosplay, I certainly encourage it, and certainly if you're willing to suit up as a Marvel superhero, we'd love to have you. We have a number of different chapters. We got the West Coast Avengers here in California, as well as the Mid Pacific Avengers in Hawaii, and the Lone Star.avengers in Texas is one of our new chapters that just opened up. And if any of you guys are cosplayers within any of those regions, absolutely. You can find us on avengershq.com, and we're also on socials at Avengers Cosplay on Instagram, and as well as on Facebook. And yeah, it's been a dream come true since, and we'd love to have more and more people join us, especially as the MCU grows and grows, and there's more and more characters that people can see themselves in and want to join us. And it's been a dream come true.
And are you the head of the chapter for?
I'm the branding officer on for the national level.
Okay.
But I certainly started off by being a member of the West Coast Avengers, because I'm also relatively local here. I'm from LA, and thankfully we have a number of different service events, especially around Southern California, but also in NorCal as well. We have a bit of California is such a massive state, but we have a number of members who are up in NorCal who get to do events out there in the Bay Area as well. But yeah, no, it's just just find us through the socials, and if you want to join us, by all means hit us up, and we'd be happy to have you and have you join the AI team.
Talk about more how going to the hospitals, how that's such a unique experience, and why it's important to the Avengers Initiative.
Yeah, it's such an enriching and experience to be able to give back to the community, and also to do certain service events. Like we have hospital visits where often those can actually be a little bit challenging, but also in a very enriching way, where you're engaging with kids sometimes who have terminal illnesses, or for whatever reason that they're bound in a hospital, and they don't get to get to have the freedoms that most of us do, of going out to conventions and so we kind of in the spirit of bringing that to them, it can be very joyful too. It can be very they bring tissue sometimes, because sometimes it can be a little heartbreaking meeting kids who are ailing, but at the same time so enriching and so joyful to see the smiles that come to their faces. Some of these kids are so young that they don't realize that we're not literally those characters, and so also it's a joy to be those characters for them. I know I was at an organization called Foster Love that did a service event where they were essentially just giving all these foster kids who don't otherwise get to celebrate their birthdays, is have like their own kind of mutual birthday party together, and it was such a joy to be able to engage with these kids who otherwise have such a difficult time in their home lives, but they're just amazed that they get to meet like Shang-Chi and Captain America and Moon Knight, and it can be so enriching to embody those characters for them, and give them a little bit of joy, in a life that's otherwise so difficult for them. So yeah, no, I definitely distinctly recall a time that I was at Shang-Chi, and I remember these kids that were asking me all about my 10 rings, and it was such a joy to just be that character for them and tell them, oh yeah, I got these rings from my dad, and they fell from outer space, and we're still trying to figure out where they came from, but that's where I get my powers from, and things like that. It's a joy embodying that for these kids, and to give them a little bit of light in a because they've had a hard time enough as it is, and to give back in some way, even just giving them a little bit of levity, it's such a joy that I'm just like me and just like any of my fellow members who've gotten the chance to do it. You're gonna fall right in love with it, and you're gonna fall in love. You're gonna love bringing smiles to these kids. So we'd love to have you be part of the Avengers Initiative and join our AI team.
Hello, my name is Kevin Nagata. I'm currently the Executive Officer at Avengers Initiative. I started out by starting the Avengers Mid Pacific, the Hawaii chapter, which is a part of the total picture of Avengers Initiative. And I developed that and recruited a lot of members. Now I have other people running the show in Hawaii, and I'm doing more things on the national level, like the policies and other things involved in that. What got me involved was I actually knew Mark, and he was a big part of all this, and I was very amazed at the kind of charities and things like that he was doing, that I wanted to get involved and do that for Hawaii, and it worked out really, really well. And it's just a matter of talking to people, getting them involved, talking to a lot of charities, and see if they would like the presence of superheroes in their community, and a lot of them wanted. Put smiles on the kids' faces. This is something that is really interesting, because when you're starting off in having a rock star costume, you might think, wow, look at me. I have this keen costume, but it's not about you. It's about a bigger picture, about affecting the lives of others and paying it forward. So that's what I really like about doing this, because we're able to do that and use this as a platform to step it up and help others.
And tell people how they can get involved anywhere in the country.
In order to get involved, we could go on the Avengers Initiative website, and there might be a QR code on there to register for either an event, or if you want to participate as a character. We require you to fill out a form and show a side view, a front view, and a back view of your character, your costume. And from there we'll decide on approving it and what you need more to improve on it in order to make it worthwhile to join our group and promote charities to others. And please, Avengers are very nice in Hawaii. If you're in Hawaii and you want to be part of this group, then look up Avengers Mid Pacific. From there you can contact us, and we can forward to you the QR code to get you started to fill out the application.
Hi, my name is Victor Joe, and I'm the burn director at UCI Health Regional Burn Center. And I first became aware of the Avengers Initiative through their volunteering to come and attend our burn survivor events. We have 2 events a year, a summer picnic as well as a holiday event. And these are events that are really important to help our burn survivors and families connect with one another, but also to maintain a connection with us, as many of these survivors and families are people who have already recovered in some ways from their injuries. But with burn injuries, many times they have ongoing needs and things that we can help them with in terms of their survivorship. So having events like this is really important. These are not medical appointments. These are meant to be fun events to help us connect, help them meet people who may be further along in their journey than they are of recovery. And so having the Avengers come cosplaying in character adds a unique element to these events. It helps to create an environment where people feel more welcome, an environment So many people like the Avengers. They're very popular, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so having people come in character that look so much like the characters and even act and speak in character really brings a flavor to these events that I think is really important. Helps draw the kids especially, but even adults in. It's fun to watch them interact with them. It's fun to watch all the pictures that they take, and it doesn't matter how many times they come, they're popular every single time. So it's been a tremendous commitment on their part to continue to support us for several of our events. It wasn't just a one-time thing, so we really appreciate that. And so this collaboration has been greatly appreciated by us at the Burn Center.
When they did the first event with you, what were you surprised about their organization, whether it's the costumes or professional they were? Or
I think a couple of things is the number of them that were willing to come out was very impressive. The extent to which people are coming in costumes that are very realistic. I was new to this whole thing about what cosplaying is. Of course, I would hear about things like Comic-Con. I hear about the term cosplaying, but didn't really understand. My understanding of costume play, if you will, is growing up and dressing up for Halloween. And we always got those store-bought costumes that had the plastic masks, and you could tell that you weren't really the character. But to see these individuals come who take this as a hobby very seriously and have costumes that are meticulous, and I'm not saying that they have to be expensive as was mentioned before, but there's a meticulousness because this is a hobby, this is a passion for them. And so I think the first thing is just how realistic they are in coming in costume, and also just coming together, several of them was very surprising to me, and it was a joy to watch.
were you surprised how impactful these characters were to the patients when they saw them?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I think because we've had these events for so long, I think the first time we had them, there was a little bit of, I could tell that it was like, well, what is this? And it was so new. And, you know, there were some really little kids. I could tell in the beginning there was a little bit of hesitancy, but then you could tell that after a while they became more comfortable. They viewed these characters much differently and looked forward to it with excitement. And it seemed like each year it continued to build, and more people would come in terms of more of the Marvel characters would come, and it would just enhance it. And so I remember this last holiday party that we had was probably one of our most successful that I can remember, and the whole atmosphere was just tremendous, and a large part of that was having the Marvel characters present there.
What would you tell other nonprofits, or especially hospitals, why it's useful to use the Avengers Initiative?
I think it adds an element that we normally wouldn't have, when we try to have events and things, this is something that's unique, cosplaying, and since Marvel is so popular and there's such a diversity of the different types of characters involved, that I think it's really neat, and the fact that it's also superheroes, and we're talking about people who are recovering from illness, recovering not only physically but otherwise. I think something like Avengers specifically, being superheroes, even if they are people that don't have unique powers, but you know, some of these characters are superheroes not because of innate powers, but because of the character themselves and what they've been able to build as part of their character. And so I think that it's a unique way. If you want to use the term fantasy or make-believe, it is still something that is powerful. There is a sense of getting out of our normal circumstances and thinking outside of our circumstances, and just enjoying some time where we can enjoy a hobby together. Because for many people who, even if we're not cosplayers, we're still fans of the Marvel Universe, and so it's a bit of escapism, if you will, during that time. It just enhances these events and create something unique for events that are meant to help, whether it's a burn survivor or someone else who's surviving some other infirmity or illness. I think it's just a unique way to incorporate an interest that we have from life outside into our hospital events and things that are meant to support people who are trying to overcome illness.
And are you hoping this relationship with them lasts a long time, helping future patients also?
Yes, I do. I think that for as long as they want to be involved, they're going to be welcome, because I think each generation of patients that we have are going to be able to benefit. But you can see how many people here at Comic-Con, even as adults, still after years and years, it's still something that we carry with us from our childhood. Many of us have been fans since childhood, so I don't think it matters how long they're a part of our program, how long they see the Avengers coming. I think there's still going to be something that's looked forward to, still something that's going to benefit the event.
So I'm Kimberly Young. I first met Mark when I was working for Regal Cinemas, and we were doing a fundraising event that was associated with the release of the original Avengers movie. And I was trying to find a way to tie in our fundraising event with Avengers, and Mark's group was a fun way to kind of bridge that universe.
And how are they unique as cosplayers, especially working with companies like your or nonprofits?
Well, they have such great costumes, great diversity of costumes. They have a lot of passion for what they do. They love interacting with people, large groups especially, and they just bring a lot of fun and enthusiasm to any kind of event that they go to, whether it's a public event for fundraising, or whether it's working with another company or another hospital. In any situation, they're very pliable to the situation, whether it's for sick kids or big group events. They're willing to do everything, and it's really great.
So after that first fundraiser, have you used them in the future with future Marvel movies and all?
So we collaborated on a few other Marvel releases after that. I think Iron Man 3, maybe one of the Thors. Basically, anytime there was a new character introduced, his group kind of introduced the new character. They found a way to work that into the repertoire. So it's really great that they've kind of built a catalog of characters by recruiting and bringing different people to different events, because as I understand it with his group, it's not 100% of participation all the time. It's whoever's available, whoever they can get, and I think that's really great.
What would you tell other theaters, nonprofits, why they should come and help their companies or nonprofits?
Oh, why the Avengers Initiative should come? Because it's a lot of fun, for one thing, sharing a fandom with other people who have like-minded interests. It's really fun to just kind of build that community, but also, you meet new people, you build these connections and these relationships. I've known Mark now for over a decade, and that's just based off of hey, I knew a guy with a suit, and now I have a friend for life. So yeah, it's about building community, sharing your passion. If any of those things sound good to someone, definitely join the Avengers Initiative.
And should we assume, because there's more movies coming out in the future, that you'll be teaming up more?
I honestly, yes. Every single red carpet event or release, or any kind of public event like Comic-Con, yes, the Marvel universe is ever expanding. And now with the Fox universe coming into that, it's getting even bigger. So yeah, the multiverse just keeps expanding, and hopefully so will the Avengers Initiative.
And what would you say to Mark, or just the Avengers group? What would you just personally say it to them?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your involvement and your passion and your enthusiasm, and just keep doing more of what you love, and people will like find you, you know. Like, no, I think you'd be surprised at like the community that you can find through it, and just thank you so much for everything you do.
Are you still at the same prequel?
Not anymore. Now I'm actually like with Disney, so now like I know I'm even closer to it than I was before. Like, and that's kind of like, I'm passionate about movies, so I worked at a movie theater and now I work for a movie studio, and like that's kind of like what the Avengers Initiative is. If you love movies, if you love comics, and if you love these characters, just keep following what you do. Follow your heart and follow your dreams, and I think that's what the Avengers Initiative is all about.
How did you get into cosplay in the first place, just at the very beginning?
At the very beginning, it was more of a creative outlet. I'm a very technical guy in nature. I always kind of a split brain between artistic and technical. I used to draw a lot when I was younger, but I also worked on computers when I was in high school. So I wound up taking for a career the computer science route, and then I kind of missed doing things that were more creative. And so I've been going to comic conventions for a while, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try to make a suit now.
Right.
And I just went from there. And then a few years into it, I met Mark, started with Avengers Initiative, probably going on 10 years now, 11 years I've been with the club. And it's been fantastic ever since.
So how did you get specifically then into the Avengers Initiative? How did you hear about it, and then how did you...
I heard about it when I was at WonderCon originally. And it was through Mark and through another guy who was with the club, Sean Richter. And they brought me in like, hey, well, if you're interested in doing more with your suits, right, we do charity work. And I'm like, that sounds fantastic, because now I can enjoy my suits at a con and enjoy with people, but then I can also put them for a purpose and bring joy to someone that maybe that day just isn't good enough.
Right.
It's bad for them. If I can put maybe a 1% chance of making your day just a little bit better in the situation that they're in, that was fantastic.
Now, specifically about that, is there one particular experience that you've had with the Avengers Initiative cosplay group that stands out to you?
Yeah, one definitely stands out was a Christmas event, and this was for Shriners, their holiday event. And there was a kid that I was in my Ant-Man Civil War, which was one of the first Ant-Man suits I built, and this kid loved Ant-Man. I mean, absolutely loved Ant-Man, and just ran up and literally almost hugged me by both of my legs to say hi. He was so fast that his parents couldn't even catch him to come up to me. And I mean, that still sticks in my head to this day. And after that, just seeing the excitement on his face, I was talking to his parents, like, yeah, he's had a rough time, and you know, you're his favorite superhero. He has like every little Ant-Man figure that he plays with, and just has loved Ant-Man since they can remember.
Right. Now, thinking of your own experience, plus those of, you know, so many of the people that you've worked with and experienced cosplay with, what is it about cosplay that is so positive and so beneficial to people who participate?
I think it's the friendships you create, to be honest with you. These cons are great. The other events are great that we've gone to. But the people make this, because normally, and obviously there's always a few bad apples here and there, but the 90 percentile of people that are in this are genuine, good people, good friends. They always look out for each other. Oh, you left your bag there. Everyone's always looking out for one another. Oh, let me fix your suit. Oh, does that loose? Let me grab a little bit of glue. I mean, it's that helpfulness that shows that people aren't just out for themselves. And I see so much selfishness in all these other communities across the board. And it's just, for the majority, it's not here, which I appreciate.
Now, you're a cosplay veteran. One last question.
Sure.
Now, how would you suggest someone who is interested or maybe thinking about it, how would you suggest they get started with cosplay?
I would say the first thing that they should do is find a character that they enjoy. Just don't do what's hot, and you'll enjoy it just that much more. Doesn't matter whether it's store-bought, whether you put together a thrift store, whatever. That would be my recommendation.
tell me, what's your role or your involvement with specifically with the AI initiative?
Sure. So I am one of the recruitment officers with the West Coast Avengers. And what I help do, along with a few others, we interview prospective members to see why they want to join the Avengers Initiative, specifically West Coast Avengers, and just see what cosplay means to them. What can they bring to our organization, and how they can make West Coast Avengers even more special.
Going back to your roots, how did you get into cosplay in the first place?
Cosplay has been such, I guess you could say I was a later in life cosplayer. I didn't start until I was in my mid-20s, but I've always loved superheroes. I started with the Michael Keaton Batman, moved on to Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, and then went into Marvel, and it all evolved from there. And then I discovered cosplay through friends and C2E2 back in Chicago, where I'm from, and it just evolved from there.
Excellent. Now tell me about your initial beginnings with this specific, with the Avengers Initiative group.
So I started with the West Coast Avengers back in December of 2022, and I had known about the Avengers Initiative for such a long time, and I moved out to LA in 2018. The pandemic happened, so I didn't really get to join as quickly as I wanted to, but I had a lot of great friends in it that really urged me to join. They said this would be a great opportunity for you. It's so fun. And so when I eventually joined, I became so happy. I was also kind of mad. I'm like, I wish I could have done this sooner. But here I am, and I'm so happy.
Has there been one specific experience of the Avengers Initiative cosplay in particular that stands out for you, that's been a favorite?
There have been so many memories that have been made with everybody. It's hard to choose just one, but I will say we had a beautiful experience with an organization called Foster Love, and they are an organization that reunites foster kids. They give them a place, they give them resources to be successful in life, and we were able to be a part of a sibling reunification event, and it was beautiful to see these siblings who haven't seen each other for weeks, months, years come together, and we were a part of that, and we were able to make it more comfortable for them, and just to witness that was just pure magic.
Excellent. How would you suggest someone who may be interested early on like you were, how would you suggest they get into cosplay in general?
If I were to talk to someone and they were interested in cosplay and how to get started, I would say start off small. Kind of think about what you want to be. Who is that character that really speaks to you? Don't be afraid of like, oh wow, that's a really intimidating build, or that's a really intimidating costume. Think about first who really resonates with you as a person, who inspires you, and go from there, because really there's no costume or character where it's too difficult to create. There's always a way. A good example would be Tony Stark, where it's like you have his suits, but he wears regular suits all the time. Sometimes he wears AC/DC shirts, and these are all little things that you can do to start small and build up to where you want to be.
Right. And how would you suggest people get into specifically the AI cosplay group?
Well, in order to get into an Avengers Initiative, visit our website, and there are different resources depending on where you are. So if you are on the West Coast, if you're in Hawaii, if you're in Texas, we have established chapters. You can reach out to one of us there. But if you are, let's say, in some other area, reach out to us anyway, and maybe you can start a chapter in your own region.
And going back to your roots, how did you first get into cosplay?
Oh my gosh. I first went to Dragon Con back in 2013. I was a member of press. I was writing for a video game website at the time, and I was working hard, but I looked around at all these amazing cosplayers, and I thought they're having so much more fun than I'm having, and so that I immediately got the bug. I started cosplaying in 2014, and it's been 10 years, and here I am, San Diego Comic-Con, living my best life.
And then talk to me specifically about the Avengers Initiative. How did you get into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am actually the executive officer. I'm the second in command of the West Coast Avengers, located here in California.
I first found the Avengers through the East Coast Avengers. I lived in Washington, D.C., and I attended a panel at AwesomeCon in D.C. It was all about cosplay, so all about how to get involved using your love of the Marvel fandom in your community. I joined the East Coast Avengers, and then I moved to California in 2021, transferred to the West Coast Avengers, and just hit the ground running. It's an amazing organization, and I'm incredibly grateful to be part of it and to get to be an officer and help lead these amazing volunteers.
Has there been a favorite part of the Avengers Initiative for you? Or there's one in particular stand out as one of your favorites?
I will say every time we get to go to a children's hospital, and which we're very fortunate to get to go to 1 or 2 times a month, we get to go in there and help make everybody's lives a little bit better, at least for a few minutes. We're seeing kids and families who are maybe having the worst day of their lives, and just through our love of Marvel and our love of giving back to the community, we're able to go in there and bring a little lightness to the situation. Again, even if just for a few minutes, it's such an amazing gift that we can give back. We have really amazing partnerships here in California with Children's Hospital Orange County, Miller Long Beach Children's Hospital. Shriners is a huge partner of ours, and LA General in the heart of downtown LA. So we get to do really, really amazing stuff. So anytime we get to go to a hospital, it's absolutely the best.
And how would you, 2 more questions, how would you suggest people who are interested in cosplay or cosplayers get involved specifically with the AI initiative?
Well, I will recommend the California chapter if you're located here. The best place to go is check out our work at California Avengers on Instagram. We showcase our members and a lot of the work we do. We have really simple links to apply. So if you're a Marvel cosplayer and you're thinking this volunteering thing might be something of interest to me, you can always reach out to the California Avengers. I'm on Instagram at WriterGamerNerd. Please feel free to reach out to me, ask any questions. I think the best way to do it is just to start doing it, right? You have to start somewhere, so just jump in. Again, find us on Instagram at California Avengers or Avengers Initiative. If you're not here in California, you can find them on Instagram at Avengers Cosplay.
And then for someone who's kind of thinking about it, but unsure of how to get into cosplay in general, just to get started, how would you suggest someone get started?
I would say just start. Yeah, I think there's always a hump to get over where you see all these amazing cosplayers, especially here. We're at San Diego Comic-Con. We have some of the best cosplayers in the world here, but you don't have to be perfect to start. So just start with something you really love. Find something that you love from the bottom of your soul, and just start with a hat, start with a t-shirt, start with a wig, right? These things are so accessible to us now. Amazon, like this wig is from Amazon. So much of what I source is secondhand. Go to the thrift store. Just pick somewhere to start and start. You will not regret starting, but if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll never find it. So just get started. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah.
And tell me, what's your role with the group here? If you have an official title, let me know what the title is, and then what's your role?
Sure, I am the branding officer for the Avengers Initiative, but I've been a member of the West Coast Avengers chapter since I think 2021. And yeah, it's been a dream volunteering for them since, and especially to be a part of the officers of the club, to be able to contribute on that level too has been a dream come true.
And what was your initial initiative or impetus in getting involved with, first of all, with cosplay, and then specifically with the AI?
Well, I first dabbled in the cosplay back when I was like I feel like the first time I ever cosplayed was when I threw together a homemade Obi-Wan Kenobi costume for Attack of the Clones. That was back in 2002, and I've just kind of fallen in love with it since. Started going to conventions the next year, particularly this one, San Diego Comic-Con, and more and more, I think, especially through Star Wars fandom, I became aware of certain groups that do volunteer costuming and hospital visits and various charity organizations and events, and that I knew that some of the Star Wars Legions were doing, and I've always wanted to join them as well. But then, especially in the wake of the incredible popularity of the MCU and how much of a fan I've become of especially the Marvel universe of late. I'm just very grateful to have learned about the Avengers Initiative, to have a Marvel volunteer costuming group that I could be a part of. And, I came to actually one of the group shoots here, literally right here at San Diego, right in this spot, back in 2019. I think I'd attended a couple of the Marvel group shoots that they hosted, but I remember it was in 2019 that I asked a friend of mine that I just met that day, like, so what is this Avengers Initiative Club, and then she told me all about it, and I was like, oh, sounds exactly like, some of the Star Wars clubs I know about, but this is Marvel, something that I knew that I was excited to become a part of. I know at the time I was dressed as Mr. Negative from the first Spider-Man game. I'm dressed as Mr. Negative from the sequel game now. But soon thereafter, I started putting together a Shang-Chi costume from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and it's always good to have some heroes, have a few hero costumes to be able to participate in, because kids want to see Shang-Chi or Captain America or Iron Man rather than the villains per se. But at the same time, it's been nice to have some of the villains in my belt too. I know a couple of years back we were invited to the opening of the Comic-Con museum, so I brought out Mr. Negative for that event. Just realizing once I learned that there was a volunteer organization that was Marvel themed, I knew I wanted to be a part of that. I've gotten to make so many great friends through it, and I've been loving it since.
Right. So going back to your own roots, if you will.
Yeah.
What was it about cosplay that intrigued you, and why did you want to get into cosplay in the first place?
I mean, I think on some level, everyone sort of, especially around Halloween, everybody's done a little bit of dress up, and I think everyone can naturally relate to just the joy of inhabiting a character that's not you, I mean, essentially, that's a lot of what I tell people who haven't really quite dabbled in the cosplay. It's a lot of that spirit, but just anytime, like just being able to come to conventions where we can not just have an excuse to dress up, but find so many of our fellow cosplayers and be able to do incredible stuff like the group shoot we're about to do, and just gather everyone together and share in our love of dressing up as these characters and our love of these characters themselves. And it's there's a real joy that comes out of not just the cosplay aspect, but the community of it, and getting to meet. Like for one thing, like I wouldn't have been able to do this costume without a lot of help from other friends I met through cosplay, and sharing resources. Not everybody's going to be able to make their costume from scratch or be able to or be able to do all of their costume, but you collaborate with people, or and there's nothing wrong with necessarily buying elements of it too. There's incredible resources for purchasing great cosplay, but also at the same time you can also always give it your own flair, add something to it, make it something a little bit more your own. So yeah, I mean it's part of what's great about this community is that we share resources, we build each other up, it makes it all the more reason to keep doing it because when you put heads together, you can do incredible stuff with cosplay.
Right. Has there been one part of the AI experience, one experience in particular that's really stood out for you, has been your favorite?
Well, I know, especially some of us members have been incredibly privileged to be invited to various Marvel events. So, I mean, I can't help but always think back on getting invited to the Shang-Chi premiere when I had my Shang-Chi costume and, getting to meet the cast and crew there. But I also got to get, I guess part of what sticks out in my mind is the Comic-Con museum opening that I mentioned before about when they opened the Spider-Man exhibit, and a bunch of us Avengers Initiative members who had Spider-Man related or Spider-Man villain related costumes all got together and got to be there for the grand opening and ribbon cutting of the Spider-Man exhibit, which was such a great experience. Just being there for the opening of a major part of Comic-Con history essentially, and there with the mayor for the ribbon cutting. But yeah, that was a blast, and we'd do it all over again.
And finally, how would you suggest people who are interested get into cosplay? What would be a great first step for them?
Honestly, maybe to take a page from something that I sort of did is that maybe if you have I think a lot of people have dabbled into doing, I wouldn't say cosplay, but like costume related work and like for like Halloween, for example. Maybe if there's one that you really enjoy doing and that you might think might be great for cosplay, I know a lot of my first cosplays were ones that that kind of began as Halloween costumes that I made, and then ones that I kind of expanded upon. And so yeah, or if not that, then just jump in. Like I know a lot of people, especially I have a lot of friends who aren't in cosplay who know that I am, and often either come to me for advice or trepidations about how I would love to do cosplay. It looks like a lot of fun, but they get daunted by seeing some of the incredible cosplay work that some people do, or seeing what some people are able to make from scratch. And I always try to remind them, comparison is the enemy of joy. Like you can't constantly compare yourself. Just do it because you want to. Pick a character that you'd love to wear to a Comic-Con or to a WonderCon or what have you, and then just give it a try, and then I think you'll see, especially once you meet other cosplayers, and they might have ideas of what you can maybe add to your costume to kind of zhuzh it up or something, or you might have an idea for your next costume that you might want to do. So just drop that hammer, try it once, and you're going to learn as you go, but you're also going to have the time of your life, and you're going to make incredible friends, and you'll get why we all keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm Scotty Fortmeyer. I'm the outreach director for Magic Wheelchair, and we're a nonprofit from Portland, Oregon that makes costumes for kiddos and young adults who use wheelchairs.
And how can people get involved, either helping you build it or apply to get one of these wheelchairs?
Yeah, we if you go to magicwheelchair.org, there's 3 portals: donate, volunteer, and apply. If you want to volunteer to build or be a part of the organization in any way, we need people to work a booth, we need people to help with social media and outreach, and then we need people to do things like drive costumes across the country and set up our event spaces. And we need builders, obviously, to build costumes. We like to get people that are local to a kid if possible, because I'm all about community-based everything, and it just feels better to have a local team around a local kid, and it feels more personal. I like that.
And when did you guys hear about the Avengers Initiative, and why did you want to work with them?
Well, you reached out to us actually to talk about just nonprofits in general who want to help, help people, and that's what we're all about. We're all about breaking down these barriers that are surrounding disabilities, and so they reached out asking if they could if we could work together, and I think it's really nice to team up with other like-minded people,
And lastly, what's the company's goal for the next 5-10 years? What you're hoping to get done?
Well, we've done over 400 costumes. I don't know how many we did last year, but pretty much we're just trying to double all our output every year. So I don't know what that would be. Maybe next year we'll do 200 costumes. Who knows? But I know it's pretty lofty, but that's the mission. And we're a nonprofit, in the truest sense. It's all volunteer based and all donation based. So really, it's just a matter of reaching out there and seeing how many people we can get involved. And who knows what the future holds? But we know that there's a ton of momentum. It's gonna keep growing and growing and growing. We said a long time ago that we're not gonna stop until everybody who wants a magic wheelchair gets a magic wheelchair, and then when we're done with that mission, we'll start over. So that's it.
So if there's a sibling or a family member that has a family member that is in the wheelchair, would love to get a chair like this, is there an application? How do they...
Go to magicwheelchair.org, hit apply, tell us about yourself or whoever it is that you think would want a magic wheelchair and your interest, and we'll find a build team and try to make it happen.
And give us the website again.
magicwheelchair.org.
My name's Robert Torres, Robert T. Photography. My hobby is photography work. I do aviation photography and cosplay photography. I got involved with Avengers Initiative through the Marvel group shoots. I would show up as a group shoot as a photographer and be one of the many photographers in the photo line. And eventually I got to meet Mark. And through Mark, I became more involved with the Avengers Initiative's group shoots and went from helping to actually running them now with Mark and Brian. They basically they give me the shot list, what they want, and I call them out and work them, make everything works, and make them work the way they want it to get their shots. So, but that's pretty much how I got involved with it. Just showing up the group shoots, being a fan.
Does that also include like when they go to hospitals and stuff like that?
I've not been asked to go to the hospitals yet, mostly because it's a schedule conflict. I do work, my primary job, I do work overnights on the weekends, so that prevents me from going to the hospitals. But would be the equivalent of being on call if Mark needs a body, needs probably a photographer, and it works in my schedule, I'm there for it.
Tell me why they seem to be more a unique team of cosplayers than the average clubs.
Probably because they seem more outgoing. I've had, I'm not saying negative experience with some of the clubs, but they're like cliques. They're their own little group. And while the Avenger initiatives, they seem to be more accepting. Come on in, join. If you help us, it will help us grow. And as opposed to just a small their own little group.
Perfect. Anything else you want to mention about them?
Other than they're a great group, I really enjoy being with them. I enjoy seeing the conventions. They're wonderful people. I really like the Avengers Initiative team.